Start our day with chemicals and we end it with chemicals.
Is ghee good for us?
Everything that's sugary or mimics sugar, everything that even looks like sugar, tastes like sugar, feels like sugar, starve your body of that. There are 65 forms of hidden sugar which are not called sugar. So don't just pick up anything which says sugar free. If you change these three things, you will not develop cancer even if you have a gene which is cancerous.
Does it cause some kind of brain fog?
But the biggest fear is that we might forget things. We might forget the names of our loved ones. And if that happens, it's terrible.
Dr. Sanjay has spent 36 years of his life researching on functional medicine. I'm so glad to have you with us, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you for being at Pragya. Today, we're going to talk about functional medicine, epigenetic. We're going to talk about things that actually matter to us, and we can all follow it at home, regardless of our age. At Pragya, we look at the world as one world. Dr. Sanjay, once again, who has spent 36 years at functional medicine, has written 3 books. One is on Age is Just a Number, Way to Life Through Millet, and recently written a book on cognitive longevity. He's a CEO of MetaBalance, which is located in Delhi. Today, we are very proud at Pragya that he took out time to be here with us. Doctor, aging is purely genetic and unchangeable?
Aging is inevitable, but feeling old is not. It's your
Okay.
choice. Epigenetics will actually determine how old you feel and how old your biological age actually is.
Right.
So you could be chronologically aging,
Right.
but you can stop, pause, or reverse your biological age based on your choices that you make.
So basically, science has progressed to such an extent today that yes, at one stage you could be aging, but it is your input to yourself and your belief that could actually reverse that could actually change that could actually slow the process for you. Doctor, longevity means living longer for many beings. Is that what it is? Is it living long, or is it really living a quality life?
It's adding more life to years
Okay.
rather than adding more years to your life.
Okay.
So it's about the quality of life. How long we live, nobody knows. God knows that. But the quality of our life, do you want to spend the last 15 years of your life or 20 years of your life eating 18 pills a day, or going to hospitals frequently, or visiting your doctors?
Right.
Or do you want to go peacefully at 95, 100, 110 without noise? You just exit from the world happily. So you are healthy till the last day. That's your choice.
How wonderful. What a fabulous way of looking at it, because somehow, anyhow, I was just, like there's this whole confusion about longevity is long life, but long without quality, and how important it is for us to live a life which is disease free, which is depression free, which is joyous and happier.
So while age span has actually increased from our independence, from when India got independent, the average age span was around 55. It's now gone up to 75. But the quality of life has deteriorated
Right.
tremendously. We are not leading quality lives. Because of the medicines that have been invented and developed and discovered, we've managed to extend our lifespan, but we have not managed to extend the quality of our life until we pay attention to it.
And this is based on many factors such as
This
food,
is based on
lifestyle.
what I call epigenetics, which
Okay.
is everything from your thoughts, starting from your thoughts, to your connection with your soul, to your people that you meet, to the choices that you make in your life, to the sleep, to the food that you eat, to the exercise that you do, to the vibration that you emit from people, to the EMF radiation that you take. Everything of that makes a difference to your life.
So, is that what genetic and epigenetic study indicates? Because in genetic, we are born with that, and epigenetic is a result of all these factors?
Yes, so genes are something you're born with. It's like the gun that you inherit.
Right.
But epigenetics fires the bullet. fire the trigger.
Okay.
It's up to you. You inherit the gun.
Okay.
You can't do anything with it, but how you use it is up to you. So the epigenetics will determine how genes are expressed.
Okay.
You are born with the genes, you cannot change them, but genes are expressed differently. Every time, let's say a child is born in a terrorist's house, then he will grow up to be one because that's the environment that changes him. Similarly, a son born in a child born in a terrorist's house is brought up in a spiritual environment, let's say in a monastery, and he grows up learning that and views that around him. He will accordingly change his nature to the on the basis of the environment he subjected himself to. Similarly, our genes express the genes can change themselves based on the environment that they are subjected to, and that is what is epigenetics.
So, environment is so important for us. How can we just forget about how and where we live? How is the behavior of the people around us? How is the toxicity of the people around us? How is the anger, the anxiety for the people around us? Because we become a part of the chain reaction and start reacting like that. Isn't it like a like when you have water and you keep praying to the water, it changes its molecular memory. Is that happens with us also?
Yes, so our bodies are actually 75% water.
Right.
Strangely, the earth is exactly 78% water and 22% earth mass.
Right.
Our brain is exactly 78% water and 22% mass. And that's how it's not coincidental. It's designed
not.
to be.
Wow.
So the quality of everything that is around us, including the water that we intake, we are exposed to constant toxic environments.
Okay.
4,500 to 4,600 chemicals a day is our exposure. So from everything from the vegetables we eat, from the toothpaste that we use to the toothbrush that we use, which is made of plastic. So we start our day with chemicals and we end it with chemicals, including the paint that is in the house, the lead that we smell when we go to a petrol pump to fill up gas in our car. We are exposed to toxins all the time. And it's not just the toxic environment, it's also toxic thoughts, toxic people around us. And all of those impact the way our brain neurotransmitters function. It's up to us how we change that. I'm not asking that everybody should start living in the Himalayas or leave the environment that we're living in, but we have to learn to disconnect and live in a glass cage. I call myself uh, the person who actually learned to live in a shell of glass. You are watching everything around you, and you watch all these toxic arrows being shot towards you, and they hit the glass and they fall.
So you
don't allow them
disconnect
to come.
connect. Is
you're,
that what
you're
it is?
connected.
You're
You're
connected.
living in the world. You're
Yes.
living everything. You're seeing everything around you. You are watching everything, and you're participating. Yet you are locked in a shell of your own.
Right. So you disconnect.
It sounds very isolated, but
yes,
it's not.
It does actually, indeed. But I can understand what you're saying because for me, I've also meditated for so many years, and I've led a life of a very high stress life. And I understand what you're saying, that you can grow, you can watch, you can be there, but you can be the observer and not let the environment affect you beyond a certain point. Doctor, where you said the paint, the lead, the sound, the emotion, the stress, then the fear, could this be the real or the cause for mental health issues? Could this be the cause for depression? Is there anything else that can happen because of this? Because is it like hormones? Does it work on our hormones as well? Do they change because of these factors?
So everybody that walks into my clinic now, I've recently started this, but we make them subjected to a test of the chakras, test of the aura, and test of the thoughts. So we measure the number of thoughts per minute, and we understand the psycho-spiritual stress that the person is going through. Many a time people ask me, why are you doing this? I've come for stomach ache, gut issues, diabetes, thyroid, and why are you measuring my thoughts? How do you concern with what's going on in my mind? But in reality, every thought generates an electric current, an electric charge of 1.4 volts. Every thought has weight, and every thought or everything that you think in terms of anxiety, fear, doubt, thoughts of the future, thoughts of the past, anger, they will release negative hormones in the mind. And there are 16 chemicals that are released from the pituitary gland and the pineal gland, and these hormones will impact physically. That means there is a physical manifestation of every thought. Every thought that you do converts into action. So when you do any action, you will first think about it. Let's say if you have to do a good or bad action, you will first think about it. So it's generated from a thought. Then you will do the action.
Okay.
Then that action is repeated over and over again, and it becomes a habit. And the habit will lead you to your destiny.
Okay.
So it's a thought which actually determines your destiny.
Wow.
So you need to focus on every thought that you are generating from
And
within.
does it happen only in women? Because normally we hear women, PCOS, hormone issues, menopause. Or does it happen in men also?
Well, it happens in anybody who's got a mind and who's
Okay.
thinking. So it does actually take place in a very strange way. There are doctors now who are doing research, and we are also doing studies in labs now, where we are linking every physical disease to a mental thought, anxiety, stress. There are now CGM monitors, continuous glucose monitors, which you put, and you will see that when you don't sleep properly, the sugar spikes up. When you get emotional or you get very angry, sugar spikes up. And you wonder, I did not eat anything wrong, and why is my sugar going up? So every emotion and every thought and every bout of anger or lack of sleep for that matter will impact your physical self. We often tend to start taking medicines the moment we start getting a physical ailment.
Right.
But we don't go into the psycho-spiritual causes. There is a German scientist called Hammer who has done a study on all cancers being linked to a psycho-spiritual thought. Every physical disease is a manifestation of your thoughts.
Could you give us some ways that we can actually keep a watch on our thoughts?
Start taking action on your habits first. Start taking action on your food. Start taking action on your exercise. Start taking action on your muscle mass and your fat mass. Start taking action on what you drink, breathe, eat. And then, of course, your thoughts are very important. So you start filtering out what is not wanted, filtering out the toxins. Sometimes you cannot get away from a toxic environment. You're physically in a toxic environment in your family or your business or your co-workers. You cannot escape that. But as you said rightly just now, that you have a choice to respond the way you want to. How you react to what they are doing or what they are saying is their karma. You choose to eat what the right foods are. You choose to eat the right, drink the right water or the right alcohols or the right, foods. You choose to go to the right people. You meet the right people or not. You choose to think correctly or not. You choose to meditate. You choose to exercise. It's your choice how you wish to live your life.
Stop feeling helpless when it comes down to that you don't blame the other for your being. Understand that you have the choice and work on it. Doctor, I'm going to ask you a question which seems to be a myth about ghee is bad for us. A lot of people are asking us and talking about it, and I really feel that you're the right person to ask. Is ghee good for us?
Yes, ghee is very good. It's the only form of live probiotic bacteria that we can get. I personally have a teaspoon of ghee in every meal. And in fact, before the meal, I have a teaspoon of ghee because it is probiotic bacteria. And if you have A2 ghee, nothing like it. Of course, everything has to be had in limits. You can't go overboard with anything good. Too much of too good and too much of too bad is also not good.
Right. Doctor, I wanted to ask you, what about these processed oils, like Corona oil, all these oils that you get from the supermarket? How good or bad are they?
They are almost toxic. All vegetable oils which have low oxidative index, canola, cornola, safflower oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oils, most of the seed oils, most of these are bad because they have low oxidative index, which basically means that they start oxidizing at a lower temperature.
Right.
And unlike ghee and sarson ka tel and or kachi ghani ka sarson ka tel or coconut oil or some forms of olive oil, these have high oxidative index, which means you can cook in them at high heat and they will not get oxidized. If you have oxidized oils, they will start oxidating your body much faster, and you will not only age faster, but it causes reactions in the body which make you sick.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So
it's a very Western concept, all these oils and everything else.
because they're
Ghee was
cheap.
the original thing that
Yes.
we used in India.
Yes, because they are cheap. I mean, five-star hotels in India, they are using rice bran oil as a cooking medium,
Right.
even for pan Asian foods, and which is not good for us. Whenever you go to a restaurant or you go to a five-star hotel, please ask what oil are they cooking in, and if it's out of these four oils, tell them to cook your food in olive oil or ghee or coconut oil, or depending on if you're eating Thai food, for example, you can choose to have it cooked in coconut oil, and they'll do it for you.
Amazing. So it's not about eating outside is the only problem, but it's the reason why it's the problem is what all has gone into that. What whether it's the intent, whether it's the kind of oil, whether it's the kind of sauces or processed food. So please monitor what you eat because you are what you eat and digest. And this rule is standard for all.
It's not just about eating and digesting. There is 25% weightage to what you eat. So always read the label of what you are picking up from the shelf. Each label has a hidden message in it. There are hidden sugars. There are 65 forms of hidden sugar which are not called sugar. So don't just pick up anything which says sugar free, because sugar free will have some maltodextrin, corn syrup, cornstarch, erythritol, or some form of chemical sugars in it which are mimicking sugar. Number two, uh, when you pick up anything, you not only see the label, but it's not about eating the right food. It is about digestion, assimilation, and excretion. Each one of these has 25% weightage. Eating right is 25% of the game one. Digesting right is the second 25%. Assimilating in the cells is the third, and excretion is the fourth. So each of them have 25% weightage. You can't eat right and not excrete. You can't eat right and not digest it. That's how it's important to do all the four things.
Okay, so it's literally like a quadrant that you have
Yes,
to fall
yes, you have
into
to follow
place.
that.
Doctor, I'd like to know what is functional medicine?
Functional medicine is also called root cause medicine.
Okay.
It investigates the cause of what illness you are suffering from and goes to the why of the why of the why. Why is that happening, and why is that happening, and why is that happening? Functional medicine also insists that you go into the entire story of your life from the beginning. So the consultation takes almost 90 minutes because you per person,
Wow.
and then you go into the details of everything from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep, and to what happened 5 years before, 10 years before, 20 years before. So it goes to the root cause. It's not just about symptomatic treatment. It's not just about reading or listening to the symptoms on your blood report or on your current problems that you are facing.
Right.
So if you are facing a gut issue, or you have diabetes, or you have thyroid problems, or you have ADD, or you have mental anxiety issues, you don't just start treatment straight away. You go into why it happened, and why did that happen, and why did that happen, and why did that happen. So when you go into the root cause, you will be able to detect an anomaly or an aberration in the entire life story, and you pick that up and start treating from there. And the second important part about functional medicine is you cannot harm the person. So do no harm is the first principle. You do not give anything toxic. You do not give any chemical substances, no drugs, no harmful X-rays, surgeries, etc., etc. We always try to be as close to nature as possible.
Wow. That's such an amazing view and such a amazing fact because this knowledge is, I feel that it's new for us to understand. It's almost like you finding your own answers because during the questionnaire, I'm sure while the person is speaking, you realize where are you faulting yourself as well. So it's almost like a learning for two people. Doctor, I wanted to ask you recently, there's been a lot of talk about the second brain in the body.
Interesting. I had a patient today who was telling me that he's very successful, made a lot of money, has everything satisfactory, family, money, career, business, all satisfactory, yet he does not feel happy. And there is, so I explained to him that 95% of the serotonin, which is your feel happy hormone or feel good hormone, is in the gut, and that's where the second brain is, because that brain gives a signal. Let's say if you are depressed or anxious, what would you do? You typically go to a psychiatrist or to a mental well-being doctor. They'll give you a pill. You eat that pill. The pill goes into your stomach with you drink it with water, and you swallow the pill. The pill goes into your stomach, And from the stomach, a signal goes to your brain to chill, to relax, to sleep, to don't feel stress, to slow down your brain or to make it more active, depending on what pill is for. How does the pill react? From the gut. So the signal is going from the gut to the brain. Therefore, reverse also works too, from the brain to the gut. So the gut actually has an equal enteric nervous system that works. Neurotransmitters activate themselves from the gut. So the if the serotonin receptors, 95% of serotonin receptors are in the gut, it depends, your happiness level will depend upon what you're eating. So you can feel good, anxious. So there are foods for anxiety, there are foods for ADD, ADHD, there are foods for depression, there are foods for sleep, foods for aphrodisiacs, the foods for uh, depending on what disease you're going through. In all mental issues, it is controllable by food. It is called nutritional psychology. So you do also called a new field called psychoneuroimmunology, PNI.
So this is how dense and or how intense the what we eat and how it impacts us. Doctor, has this study just been recently? Has it just evolved recently, or do you think past in every country in the wisdom in their in growth patterns, these things were highlighted in the past as well?
In the last 5 7 years, Harvard University has set up a nutritional psychology institute, which is headed by a doctor called Uma Naidu, Indian doctor. And there are companies which have evolved. If you Google, and you will see the Mood Food company in Los Angeles is now setting up cafes all over America. So if you're feeling low and you don't feel active, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling under the weather, mentally fatigued, tired, adrenal fatigue, you just go and eat at that restaurant and they will give you happy foods. So they are working out, there's a lot of science behind it now. Of course, it's not just one meal will make you happy, but it's just the concept of making you understand that these neurotransmitters of the brain are activated from the gut.
Doctor, America has been the largest promoter of processed food. So, has it just stayed there or has it traveled the world?
It's traveling the world everywhere now. What I call it the big food and the big pharma partnership. The big food companies are the big companies that produce processed food in mass. And that's why most of our children today are not eating food. They're eating food like substances. They eat substances which look like food, which are not food.
Right.
And they have partnered in a way, not legally, but they have partnered with the big pharma. Because when you eat processed foods, you fall sick. When you fall sick, you will need the big pharma to treat, not treat, but to manage the symptoms. So it's a vicious cycle.
Right.
You get into that trap, and you will not be able to get out of it. So you are pretty much taking medicines for life. For example, a diabetic patient who is a diabetic will stay a diabetic for about 40 years. A thyroid patient will average stay on thyroid medication for 50 years. And in that 40 to 50 years time, they will spend nearly 20 to 30 lakh rupees on medicine which cost only 100 rupees. So even if you spend 100 rupees a week on your medication, you will spend 25 30 lakh rupees in your lifetime on taking medicines for life. So that's how much profitable it is for the big pharma to make you dependent on these drugs.
So supermarkets have really been, in some ways, a hindrance or an eye wash to our system because when it comes down to children, like you just mentioned, that they are eating something that looks like food. Children go to birthday parties, and at every birthday party, from nuggets to pizzas to pastas to cakes, etc., that's become their staple menu, so to speak. And when they do that, do you think at a very young age their gut health is ruined, and parents should be more uh, on the educative front? They should be telling them about it, learning about it themselves, because systems and changes don't happen in a day. It's obviously an evolution of understanding, and then therefore change will come in. What would be your comment on that?
So first of all, children should understand that healthy food um, is not untasty. You can have delicious healthy food. You can have delicious pizzas. You can have delicious burgers. You can have delicious cakes. You can have delicious pastries. You can have all the so-called junk foods can be cooked with the right flour, the right sugars, and the right sugar substitutes, which can make the food healthy and delicious at the same time. It's about consciousness, it's about awareness, it's about parents becoming aware and teaching their children to eat healthy. And eating healthy is not boring. That's what the children have to be taught. That's very important to make them understand that.
Do you think we should just learn about it through a book form, or should we have a way of life where we actually taught at home, where we're taught in schools, where we're taught in offices and companies?
There is so much information available. We are almost overloaded with information. Everything on, for example, on YouTube, you will find thousands of recipes which are healthy for children, thousands of recipes which are healthy for adults, thousands of recipes for PCOS, PCOD, treating diabetes, reversing thyroid. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of videos. You don't need to go to a book. They don't need to consult a doctor. Most people can treat themselves by just awareness and consciousness. You just have to wake up. That's what's important.
So, what you have to really do is to wake up to your own health and your own reality. Because if you blame someone else for your bad mood or your anxiety or your ailments, then it means that you have fallen short, because you have to be completely aware that in illness you will be the one suffering.
I have about 90% of my patients run away from me because they say we can't do this. It's too many things. They get overwhelmed with the diet and they say we can't follow this, and we cannot follow even half the things that you are saying. So they choose not to. But then that's again, as I said from the beginning, I'm saying it's a choice you make.
Okay. Epigenetic and genetic influences on gene. How would we differentiate both?
So, as I said in the earlier discussion, that epigenetics will determine how you are aging and how you let your genes express themselves. You may have inherited a cancer gene, for example, and cancer is a lifestyle disorder, cancer is a metabolic disorder, as written by Joseph Kraft and many other people who've written about it. And but cancer is also inheritable. So there are 5% or 7% of cancers which are inherited.
Right.
Let's say you have inherited a cancer gene. Epigenetics would mean that you change the environment of your body to four things. Number one, alkaline your body to as much as you can. So you keep yourself in an alkaline environment, eating alkaline vegetables, drinking alkaline water, and staying in alkaline environments.
So coffee, that means, is not alkaline, or is it alkaline?
No, coffee is acidic, but if you
Acidic.
mix it with MCT oil and with turmeric latte and with magnesium powder and with MCT powder, then it becomes half, or I would say 1/4 acidic. And if you drink water before, during, and after coffee, then it makes up for the acidic environment.
So
turns
having
into-
the first thing in the morning, a cup
yeah,
of
you
black
cook the coffee in
or a
alkaline water.
It's
You
not
put
really-
baking soda in the water,
Yeah.
and you cook the coffee, you make the coffee in alkaline water. So if you inherited cancer genes, you alkaline yourself, number one. Number two, oxygenate yourself. Highly oxygenation through ozone therapy.
Okay.
Ozone therapy is a molecule called O3. Oxygen is O2, ozone is O3. So you ozonate your body, you increase the oxygen levels in the body for a person who's inherited cancer genes. The more oxygen you have in the body, the less the cancer cells can survive. Cancer cells die in pure oxygen. They can survive in less oxygen environments. Third, starve your cancer cells of sugar. Everything that's sugary or mimics sugar, good, jaggery, honey, everything that even looks like sugar, tastes like sugar, feels like sugar, starve your body of that.
But supermarkets are full of sugar,
Yeah,
doctor.
so
How
everything
do
is
we
full
do
of sugar.
this?
All the bakeries, all the coffee shops, everything is sugar. That's what we have to. That's what I'm talking about. Choice. I'm talking about consciousness. I'm talking about awareness. It's about making yourself aware and conscious. Open your eyes and see what you are doing. Just be watchful. If you change these three things, you will not develop cancer, even if you have a gene which is cancerous, unless you're a 3-year-old child and you've inherited cancer from your parents and you can't help it. But let's say you become a conscious adult and you're 18 years old and you've realized that you have a gene which is a cancerous gene. You can choose to change the environment around your genes to express the genes separately or differently to prevent or delay the onset of cancer in your body.
So, and what's the fourth one, doctor?
Thoughts.
Thoughts.
Again, everything is about manifestation. thoughts. If your thoughts are positive, you get up every morning and you start looking at yourself in the mirror and say, I have got cancer because my parents had cancer, I'm going to get cancer. You will get cancer in 6 months. You tell yourself you don't have cancer, you will be healthy. You constantly give that self that feeling, and not 99%, 100% belief. Not कि देखते हैं चल करके देखते हैं क्या होता है. Let me pray to God or Guruji or whoever, and I will see whether it works or not. Not like that. 100% belief.
So
Not even
affirmations
99%.
and manifestations work.
You must believe that. So I believe I'm going to live to 100, and I have no doubt about it. So it's about your belief system. How you believe, it will happen.
Amazing, how wonderful. And it's amazing how you just say that we are responsible for it. So, genetics and epigenetics. So, we are all in this amazing phase in our life in where, like it's almost like science innovating to itself, where medical science is now innovating to another level. And these studies, these scientists, the work that has gone behind it is to benefit us, that means you and me, is to benefit the generations to come. So have a look at it, have a intent, have the manifestation, know what you're eating and how it's going to affect the body and the mind and the spirit. And at so many places the doctor spoke about the spirit, the soul, the karma, etc. So it's just also not the body, it's also the thought. When you talked about the gut and then you talked about the food that impacts the gut and the hormones, does it cause some kind of a brain fog? Because we see a lot of people saying, oh, I've forgotten this, I can't remember this, I'm feeling this way, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling like anxiety over something. Does that impact the gut and its health?
Brain fog starts from memory loss, temporary memory loss. Like you said, I've forgotten this. You call up somebody and you don't remember what you have to say. You forget where you kept the keys. You forget that you have to take your medicine or whatever you have to do. You make a commitment that I'm going to see you day after tomorrow for a cup of tea, and you just forget it. You just leave that meeting and it's forgotten. These are small things, but they are not small because they will develop into larger things. They will develop into early stages of dementia or Alzheimer. Our biggest fear, one of the biggest fears as we age, is not just the fact that we might get a physical illness or an ailment, we might get a heart attack or some physical disease, but the biggest fear is that we might forget things. We might forget the names of our loved ones. Wow. And if that happens, it's terrible. So that is preventable because all the neurotransmitters in the brain have connections. They have neural connections. And those connections are fueled by keeping the foods anti-inflammatory. Right. You keep your amyloid plaque. It's called amyloid, AMLOYD. Amyloid plaque is what develops in the brain that causes brain fog. And if you're able to prevent amyloid plaque from gathering in it's basically inflammation in the brain, through leading an anti-inflammatory diet, anti-inflammatory thoughts, anti-inflammatory lifestyle, exercise, breathing, sleeping, all of these things matter, then you can prevent brain fog from happening. You can keep your brain young. In fact, my new book, which I'm writing now, is on cognitive health, and it's called Unaging the Brain. Okay. And it's about, you could be 100 years old, but your brain can be 25.
Amazing, how wonderful.
So if you're able to keep your brain young and your mind young, you will not age.
Give us one surprise thing from the book, the study that you have done and what it's based upon.
Have MCT oil every day in your coffee.
Okay, so we have a tip from the doctor, MCT oil in our coffee.
Medium chain triglyceride oil. It's a derivative of coconut oil. It has caprylic acid and it will help you to keep your brain alert. It's brain food. It generates the right cholesterol, which is brain food.
Amazing. And what about tea drinkers?
Have black tea.
Black tea with
have
MCT?
Tea with almond milk.
With almond milk?
With MCT oil.
Amazing. Okay, so we can actually have our addictive beverages. Doctor, I want to know about alcohol. It's one of the most addictive things that we're unaware of because the marketing campaign is so fantastic around milk, alcohol, sugar, processed food. May I ask your comment about alcohol today?
Alcohol, it is toxic, just like many other things that we just talked about. It is addictive, just like sugar is, just like wheat is, just like carbs are, just like sometimes toxic environments attract you more. Like we are today watching mostly crime movies on OTT because people are addicted to it. So the AI studies what people are watching and they produce movies according to that thought because we are addicted to that aspect. Again, it's a matter of choice. Like I said, too much of anything too bad is not good, and too much of anything too good is not good. So you can have a couple of drinks in a week, maybe 2 glasses of wine 2 3 times a week, or two alcoholic drinks. Again, I would suggest that you put a CGM on yourself. For some people, the sugar will spike with vodka. Some people sugar will spike with single malt. Some people sugar will spike with beer. It is individual. If you find that after putting the CGM, your sugar is not spiking with that particular thing, then you can have 3 4 drinks a week.
And
Particular,
this spirals to the liver as well.
yes.
This spirals to
Yeah,
the liver,
and
and that
so you
spirals
choose
to
your alcohols
aging.
wisely
Yeah.
and have what is not spiking up your sugar. Avoid the 5 white evils in your life:
Okay.
white sugar,
Yes.
white salt, white milk, white maida, white wheat or suji, and white rice. Sorry, white rice is the other one,
So
which
white
Dr. Alok
flour
spoke about.
and semolina, basically.
White flour or refined flour,
Refined
wheat,
flour.
maida, and suji are the same family, so they are one
Wow.
part. Milk is the second. If you read a book called Milk, a Silent Killer, you will understand why milk is bad. And then white rice, eaten in the wrong way. So white polished rice has several chemicals that are used to polish the rice and package the rice. Similarly, so white salt is another, has only 2 minerals.
Wow.
Himalayan pink salt has 84 minerals. So you depends on what salt you choose. So if you have these 5 white evils out of your life, you can be healthier.
Amazing. So it's not too difficult, and it's so informative to understand how the body functions, where your joy and happiness is, and how it can be managed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.